Andy, what's up, my brother?
What's up, man? Dude, Pete Yorn, welcome to the conversation, man. I appreciate you joining me.
I'm happy to join you, man. You look like my brother from another mother.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Hair twins going on. I like your style.
All right, man.
Dude, thanks for joining me. It's an honor to have you on. I want to get into like the new record and obviously the Christmas live stream coming up on Friday. But I wanted to kind of start back a little bit. I've always heard, this may not be true, but I've always heard that you, Pete Yorn, started out as a drummer before you were singing. That's why all your albums are kind of not drum heavy, but you can tell the beats are really well thought out. Is that true?
Yes, I was a drummer first. I got two older brothers, and my middle brother, he was like 6 years older than me. He had a drum set in our basement in Jersey, and when I was little, they'd be rocking down there, and I would sneak down, just jump on the drums, and I picked it up pretty quick. He showed me a beat, I remember, and it was weird for me because I'm a lefty, but
Oh, wow.
I've learned on a righty kit, so I play straight, like hi hat here, snare to like do floor tom. I'm like got to cross over. Yeah, I was a drummer first, and I used to be playing like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest covers back there, just having fun. And then at some point, I think I heard the Smiths and the Cure and REM, and I wanted to start writing songs on guitar. And I'm like, I better learn how to play guitar, probably like 87 or something like that. And yeah, so then I learned guitar. But yeah, I was a drummer first, and I played a lot of drums on my records over the years. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I feel like when you pick live drummers for your band, you always pick really solid, like drummers that just really can throw down, but also kind of hold back too and play solid. I love that. Is that a well thought out thing when you pick a live band?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be a nightmare. Um, I was always respectful, but I guess over the years I found enough friends that I know can do it that I could grab. But early on, when we were, when we made the first record in 2099, and it was time to like go out on tour and play the record. I remember we tried out, like, I'm not exaggerating, like 60 drummers,
Oh,
and
wow.
I couldn't, they were bringing everyone down to this, like all the LA cast were coming in, and I was like, nah, nah, nah. They would either, what the problem was, they would either be too Keith Moon and not enough, didn't have the ability to rein it in, or they were too stiff and didn't have the ability to like swing out and just get crazy. And we
Yeah.
finally would find some people that would have that balance, and that's what we needed, especially on the first record, because there was a lot of programming that went with the drums. And I remember we were playing to a click track, and so you had to swing, but you also had to be able to like feel like the loops and stuff that were going on. And so it was really hard. And it's funny, actually, my first drummer who we found, who stuck with me for a minute, texted me before. I haven't heard from him in like maybe 8 months, and he just texted me right before we did this Zoom. And so
Oh, no way.
that's a coincidence. Yeah, this guy Scott Coogan. And then but our first drummer for like Dirty Bird band was like this guy Luke Adams, and
Yeah.
he did a great job. And I think he went to like North Texas and was in the drum program there. I think they have a good drum program or something like that. And but he was from Jersey, and he could swing and he could play to a click, and he was good. He was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Luke's amazing. Luke's one of my favorite drummers, man. He's really solid and can do all those things that you just said right
Oh,
there, man. I love that. But Music for the Morning After came out. That's the record you're talking about. For me, I remember hearing that song, Strange Condition. I don't know if it was on the soundtrack, but I was working at a movie theater in the summer of 2000, and I'd go in and I'd sweep the floors. And I remember hearing Strange Condition in Me, Myself, and Irene, this like forgotten Jim Carrey movie. Was that on the soundtrack or just kind of featured in the film?
it was funny. I actually scored the film. So I did like all this background silly music. Like I got like a living room organ and played
No way.
all the music on that. So you'll hear like these little silly bumpers and little tags. But it was a weird project because the movie was mostly Steely Dan covers. Like Wilco did Every Major Dude, and a bunch of other artists did them. But my songs, I think I had Strange Condition in it and Just Another Girl, I want to say. And those were like the only two non-Steely Dan covers that were on the soundtrack. But those were on there before my debut came out, so people might have heard it early from that, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I had no idea you scored that. And it was a time in history where you couldn't Shazam things and you couldn't Google. You just had to wonder. So I would hear this song and just wonder who it was. And then I guess a couple years later, or maybe a year afterwards, I saw like the video or I heard it on like the radio station in St. Louis where I'm from. But yeah, I mean, I had no idea you scored that movie. That's a forgotten Jim Carrey film and a classic. I think it's a great one too.
Yeah, there's some
Definitely one
fun.
of the best ones.
There's some funny bits in it for sure. Definitely. Yeah. And then who knew Peter Farrelly years later would go on to win Best Picture, Best Story, or something like that with the green
Yeah.
something. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie. I got to see it. But he won. I think he won Best Picture or Best Director or something, which is amazing. I mean, he's always been a great comedy director with his brother, but then he did like a serious film, and it did really well, and he's got an Oscar. Man, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't beat that. We're talking to Pete Yorn on Nashville's Rock Station 1029 The Buzz. You got the big live stream coming up this Friday, December 16th. It's going to be 5 p.m. your time, I guess 7 p.m. time here in Nashville. Tickets are available at peteyorn.veeps.com. Did you do a lot of live streams over the last couple of years? A lot of bands have been jumping on that ever since, when shows went away a couple of years ago. But do you enjoy the live stream experience?
I do. I've done almost exclusively live streams for the last few years. I think I've played maybe 3 in-person concerts since 2019.
Oh, wow.
So I've been laying pretty low, mainly because I just like laying low. I'm just like I'm a homebody, but I think I'll get back out there sooner than later. But yeah, like when the pandemic kicked off and there was all the quarantine lockdowns, I kind of started just jumping on Instagram Live and Facebook Live and doing little play like 3 songs, 4 songs, just checking in with people because everyone felt isolated. I was isolated and I was living out in the desert and but I had a good internet connection, which was good. But yeah, that's how it started. And then at some point, my friends Benji and Joel Madden, they had this platform called Veeps, and you could do live streams on there. So I was like, let me do one of those. And I think the first one I did was Music for the Morning After in its entirety, and that was really fun. And then
Nice.
I've done a bunch since then, but I haven't done one since February of 2021. So this is my first one in almost a year. So I'm looking forward to it. And like, it's like I know, like I like to kind of keep it pure how it was, like how I was doing them. Like when it was a lockdown and everyone was isolated, I just like there's something about it. Like I think with my live shows with my band or when I'm at in a venue as one thing, and these little live streams that I do online as its own thing. It's a very intimate thing. I tell stories, talk about the songs, take requests, and it's kind of just its own separate little thing. So I like them for that, and I think the people who come enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one's labeled a Christmas themed kind of live stream. Are you a fan of Christmas songs and things like that in general? Is this your time of year, Pete?
Yeah, I mean it's just a holiday show. I don't think I said Christmas. I said holiday show, but of
Holiday. There
course,
you
but it could be. It's Christmas. I love Christmas. Like I grew up Jewish in New Jersey, and I was like celebrating Hanukkah. But like I loved Christmas, and I still do, and I love all the lights and all the the whole season is like one of my favorite times of the year. And I might be brewing up a little Christmas song here and there. I've done them before. It's always I don't like to like lock myself in with set lists, but like I like definitely enjoy kind of pulling out a sneaky holiday song, a Christmas song here and there.
Yeah.
I saw the movie Spirit in St. Louis. You probably know that from living in St. Louis or heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
From years ago. There's a very famous Christmas song in that I've been maybe trying to dip into, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it works or not. There's a few songs I've been thinking about, and I get the tabs, I get the chords, and I'm like, yeah, this feels good. I'm like, I don't know. It's like you gotta be in the moment and see what's feeling right. So we'll see. But yeah, it'll be a celebration of life and love and people and all that. And I think it'll feel good. So
Absolutely, man. And you were born and raised in like New Jersey. How close to Asbury Park area when it comes to being born and raised are you?
yeah, as a little kid, it seemed really far away, but now when you go back, it's like, oh my God, it was probably like 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, maybe. I grew up in
Yeah.
a town called Montville, a little north, and Asbury is considered down the shore. It's kind of north shore. And one of my first live gigs ever was in Asbury Park at a place called the Deck House. And I remember it was, I had a band in high school called River Blindness. And my friend Greg Westergaard was the drummer. And we're like maybe halfway through the first song and we're so nervous to just be playing out. And there's like maybe like 20 people there, whatever. But like we're so excited. And we're rocking some song. I forget what we had originals. And all of a sudden I just hear like kaboom, and the drums just stop cold behind me, and I turn around and I just see feet up in the air, and I guess he fell off the back of the stage. His throne was too close to the edge, and he fell off the back and just flipped over right backwards off the stage. He jumped up. He's like, I'm all right, like in Parenthood, like Steve Martin Parent. But yeah, that was a funny memory that you just hit me. I've forgotten about that until this moment, and it was a good time. Yeah.
That's incredible. I always wanted to play, obviously growing up liking Bruce Springsteen and stuff like that. I always wanted to play Asbury Park. And my band, as we got bigger, we played like the Stone Pony and things like that. But we started out playing the Saint. Have you played there? I assume you probably have in Asbury Park, the Saint.
Yeah, I think I saw Bob Mould at the Saint, like solo acoustic years ago. And Vic Chestnut opened up. I remember he was this guy. Wow. And I remember, I think he was in a wheelchair. He was in a wheelchair, and I didn't know that. I was familiar with this music from these girls in my town were really into him and Bob Mould, and I went with them, and I was surprised to see Vic. I was like, wow, I didn't expect that. I mean, he was great, and I think he might have passed away since. I don't want to spread wrong information, but I think he passed away a few years ago. But Bob Mould was great. He was playing a lot of solo stuff at that point, not so much Husker Du stuff. And then I remember that night was special because when we drove down, I drove down with these two girlfriends of mine, just friends, not girlfriends, but friends that are girls. And I remember that they played me Vapor Trail by Ride for the first time, and I freaked out. I was like, play that again. Oh my God, play that song again. It was one of those moments like the Brian Wilson with Be My Baby, like gotta hear it over and over again. Like just made me, I remember being in the back of the hatchback, just like, oh my God, freaking out over that song. So I remember a few things about that night. Yeah.
That's awesome. I played the Saint just one time. Well, twice, I guess. But the first time we ever played it, my band had just started touring. We were kids. We were like 19, maybe 20. And we would do this thing, which I would never do now. But when clubs would ask for a cut of your merch, you know, we would figure it out. But we used to do this thing where we would take all the cash back in those days and pretend we only sold like a little bit and try to give them a small cut. But it was the only time it's ever happened to me was at the Saint, where whoever was in charge like got me in the back room, locked the door, and was like, you're going to pay us, and you're going to pay us now, and totally hustled me. And I remember thinking, man, these New Jersey cats do not mess around. They do not mess around.
There's probably some gangsters down there for sure. But yeah, like normally they'll like count you in. So they know like they'll have someone from the venue count you in so they know what you have to sell. So you can't fake it, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. Gosh, I hope that show was at the Saint. I thought it could have been at a different, it's so blurry back then. That would have been 1992. And yeah. I feel like it was at the Saint because that's the only other venue that really sticks out in my head. But maybe it might have been a different place, to be honest. But I'd have to like Google that. I could probably find the show. I bet I could.
Dude, Bob Mould and Vic Chestnut sounds amazing. That's one heck of a show.
I'm sure it was 90. It had to be 92, maybe 91. But
yeah. Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, I saw someone like, whatever. So go ahead. Sorry, mate.
Oh, no, you're fine, dude. So I was thinking about how one of the reasons we kind of connected online was I've added a couple of your songs to my show. A lot of times I just pick songs that I like. I don't really pick whatever the lead single is. I listen to records front to back. And one of the good things about this show is I can play pretty much whatever I want and just, you know, AAA radio, which is a rare thing to have these days. And so there's a couple of yours I've added, like from Hawaii, your latest record, I added Elizabeth Taylor. I actually added Caretakers from one of your records a couple of years back. I believe it was called Caretakers. I added the title track. And then I recently added Bizarre Love Triangle, which was your New Order cover off the Live at the Fonda record that came out in 2020. But that was actually tracked in 2009. Why did you hold on to that for so long before putting it out?
It's great. Thank you for playing all that stuff, by the way. I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome,
man. So the Fonda show was filmed. It was a live concert, and it was actually it was it had aired. There used to be a station called Palladia, and they would play concerts and music, and it aired on that like a lot back at that time. And then I kind of forgot about it, and I'd never released it as in physical form in any way, shape, or form. And then physical form, any way, shape, or form. And then it good, it's a good word, form. And what happened was I think like one of the songs came on my shuffle on my like my music was shuffling through my phone, and I was like, what the heck song is it, what show is this? And it wasn't labeled, it just had like numbers next to it. And I kind of figured out, I was like, oh my god, this is the audio from that Fonda show. And this was definitely during kind of the lockdowns, and I was
Yeah.
like, and at that point I think I just started using Bandcamp, and I was like, we got to put this out. So initially we put it out just on Bandcamp, as a physical like CD, double album, and then finally, I think when you discovered it, we had just we put it on the DSPs, it's the Spotify's and Apple Music and all that, the streaming
Yeah.
platforms. So now it's everywhere, but it took a minute to realize like, oh yeah, I should do that. So that's why it took so long. It was kind of a lost jam, and it was mixed by this great guy, Sean Everett, who worked with me on Nightcrawler back in the day. And he has gone on since to like win a Grammy for like best alternative record every year. The guy's like on fire. He just does every cool
Wow.
record. And he mixed it. And I'm one of the reasons it sounds so great. He just has that magic touch to like make everything sound cool. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I wanted to ask you too, are you a big New Order fan? Because it's such a cool take on Bizarre Love Triangle. It's one of my favorite songs. That's probably my favorite cover version of it, because there's been a lot, but that's by far the most unique one. Are you a big New Order fan?
Yeah, and I love New Order. I came up, being a fan of their music, and that song as a kid wasn't maybe because it was so popular, it wasn't my favorite New Order song. I did not like it, but I was just kind of skipped over it. But then when I went back around the time 2008, and I read the lyrics resonated with me so hard at that moment. And that's why I wanted to cover it, was just because I loved the lyrics. I thought it was just like, man, I wish I wrote this. This is exactly how I feel right now. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's what made me want to do it. And yeah, the band brought it, to a cool place. And I remember just breaking it out in rehearsal, and they just kind of took it there, to that spot. And that's how it evolved on tour. And yeah.
That's awesome. Have you seen Peter Hook, where he does his Peter Hook and the Light? It's like he plays a lot of New Order and Joy Division stuff front to back. I saw him in Chicago at the Metro a couple months back, and it was sold out. And I think I was the oldest person there. Like kids just going nuts. I loved it. It was like seeing New Order in like '83 or something. It's pretty
That's
cool.
that's I've heard that he does that, and I have not seen a show in person though. But I'd like to look it up, like see if I could find some videos or something on it. Sounds fun.
Yeah, oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's unreal, man. We're talking to Pete Yorn on Nashville's Rock Station 1029 The Buzz. One of the things I have on the show, Pete, because you kind of come from the days of when you would get signed and the radio would put out a single and MTV would play a video and things like that, the way things were for years in the music industry. And one of the things that always kind of bums me out now is when I have bands on my show, a lot of them will tell me, we just want to go viral on TikTok. And it always comes down to that kind of stuff. Like, just we don't get a clip on an Instagram thing. What's your thoughts on the way that people are getting discovered these days? Does it kind of bum you out, or did you kind of like grasp the way that it is, just the way that it is?
I've always been one to just, if anyone could find a way in, God bless them. If they have something that people want to hear and are excited about, I'm all for it. And I don't really judge like, oh, it was a TikTok thing, or I'm not that caught up in that. I really just like, if I hear a song that resonates with me, something that I like, feels good, makes me want to, uh like listen to it a lot, then all good. But yeah, like you said, I definitely was. I feel like I was right at the end of the old school, like, you know getting signed. I played acoustic for like the people at Columbia Records. Like they were like,
Oh, wow.
what else you got, kid? I was like, oh, I got
Yeah.
this this song, Just Another Girl. Or like, okay, what else you got? I got a song called Murray. Like, okay, we'll let you know. And then, then like a month later, I end up getting signed. But yeah, everything's different now. There's still some of that, I'm sure, but I feel like, back then there was an art of the unknown where I feel like people, the A&R people, maybe they had less to go on. They kind of were like a lot of it was a gut instinct, or they had just a good taste, or just thought they knew what might work, or it wasn't as often like a band would have oh well, I see this band, they got 2 million Instagram followers and TikTok views on and this many YouTube likes, so we know they have a built-in fan base already, so it's not so
Yeah.
much a risk. They're just kind of following data. But back then it was more like it was a bit more of an instinctual thing, perhaps. I don't know if I'm right on that, but it's just that's my instinct on that anyway. And
Well,
there's
it's
nothing wrong with that. It's just different.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's funny to see the change because I have a couple friends that have like gone viral on TikTok and they've had labels like major labels come to them and offer them deals and they've passed because they just make more with their 10 million followers on TikTok. So it's such a weird way. It's almost like starting your own business and having control of your career from the very beginning. It's definitely a much different world now. It's crazy.
Well, that's cool. Like, one of the greatest things is being able to control your stuff, how you want to put it out. And if obviously a lot of it's a fairy tale. The ones that break out even still are few and far between of the people trying to break out. But if you're able to, how to kind of control your stuff, and how to sell tickets, and how to, get people to shows, you can do it all yourself pretty much these days. But once you get big, you know you kind of need people. It takes a little village to become huge. I feel like I remember I used to be envious of, like, or I think like my comedian friends who do stand up. You're like, they're like selling out like MSG, like one guy with one microphone, and you're like, dude, it's like, that's unbelievable. Like, and you think it's just that's all it is, but there's writers, there's a lot of stuff going on that you kind of, you want to find people that you can trust, that can kind of help take some of that big, if it becomes a big machine, kind of take some of that load off, so you could focus on the work, and when you don't have to focus on it, you could chill out. um,
Yeah.
Otherwise you drive yourself crazy, like micromanaging everything. So there's a lot of opportunity to micromanage these days if you want to, and you could do it all. But it's good to kind of, that's the timer for my daughter's medicine. I have it's like, not, it's like cold, it's another cold, she's better for 2 days, another cold. It's like, not, it's just like, it's just what it is, man.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
going around. But if you need to give her a medicine, that's fine. We can always pause it for a
No,
second.
it's okay, it's okay.
Right
she'll
on, man.
she'll live, she'll live.
I think one thing too about the whole generation of controlling your own destiny, it's almost like, I mean, you could probably agree or maybe not disagree, or maybe disagree with this as a songwriter, but it seems like when you really like a song, and sometimes a song isn't necessarily a single, but it becomes a cult classic or a fan favorite. For example, with you, I know the song "Lose You" was never a proper single, but it always kind of seems like it's a song that you play live and people react to. Do you find sometimes with your stuff that you're surprised by the songs that people latch onto, or do you just like that song a lot? That's why you kind of kept it in the set all those years.
I always liked the song. Uh, and yeah, sometimes I'm surprised by what becomes like more popular. Or I'm more surprised of like what doesn't become popular. I would say I'd be like,
Yeah.
I was sure that song is a smash, and you're like, what? Well, all right, that's all right, but I like it. The most important thing is me lyrically, emotionally, is it resonate? Do I feel like I'm saying something with it? That's how songs hang around for me. Lose You had a special thing though, where it took on a life separate from probably most of my hardcore fans. More of a, I would probably gamble casual Pete Yorn, or gateway drug to myself, because it was at a really powerful use on a TV show called House MD.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and it played like through this long montage scene. So like a lot of people who know that song probably aren't familiar with like, most of my music, but they probably heard of me through that song, especially internationally. Um,
Yeah.
so that was a cool thing at the time. I remember. Forget how long ago that use was now, but it was a good show. I was a big fan of the show, so I was really excited that they wanted to use it, and it was a pretty powerful scene. So
Oh, dude, the power of the placement, man. That's a thing. I love that.
yeah,
Right
yeah.
on. Well, Pete Yorn, before you get out of here, man, I want to play a 5 random question game with you if you'd like to play it, my man.
Let's try.
All right. 5 random questions of Pete Yorn on the local buzz. So it is the holiday season. What is one Christmas song you absolutely cannot stand?
Ooh. Can't stand. Oh man, I don't have a Christmas song I can't stand. I'll think of
You
10
like some more?
later. I'll think of 10 later when I'm like, oh, I should have said that one. So I can't say one. I will say this. When I was a kid, I did not like uh the Paul McCartney song, having a wonderful Christmas time. I hated that
Yeah.
song as a kid, and now I love it.
Oh, wow.
I think it maybe reminds me of being a kid or something. I don't know. But now I love Wonderful Christmas Time, but I didn't like it as a kid. So I'll give you
That's
that.
funny.
But I do
Nostalgia
like it.
brings it back.
Yeah.
Question number 2 with Pete Yorn. I don't know if you heard this, but a lot of legendary clubs in Nashville have been closing. For instance, they just shut down the Exit Inn. They're claiming they might reopen it as like a Live Nation venue, but Exit Inn is now, as it was, is gone. So I was going to ask you if there's one legendary rock club you could bring back from the dead. What club would it be?
First comes to mind is CBGB, of course.
Yeah.
Although when I played there, I fell off the stage because there was another falling off the stage story. There were these stairs that to what these like 3 steps to walk up on the stage, and during the show, I guess they pull them away so the crowd can't get up there. And
Yeah.
I ran off the stage thinking they were still there, right after the show, and I just boom, I went down hard. I definitely
That's
messed up my
amazing.
knee. But yeah, that was a cool venue. I gotta say, an awesome venue in LA when I was coming up was the House of Blues on Sunset. I know it's not like anything like wow, but people who know, that was a great venue, really fun, and I missed that spot. And it had also this like secret small little venue within it that was really fun as well. And I remember meeting Princeton there, and
Oh,
he
nice.
was like standing there behind this like secret door letting people in. I walk in, he's like, hello, hello. I remember that was a magical night. But yeah, those are 2 I'll throw at you. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've always heard that the House of Blues in LA was actually surprisingly cool. An honorable mention for me would be Mississippi Nights in St. Louis. They leveled that back in '07 for a casino parking lot. Crazy.
Oh, I played there once, I think maybe just one time, and I had a really fun time. It was one of those super sweaty, just you get off stage and your shirt's just drenched, like you jump in the pool. And I remember that being really fun. And I remember the
Oh,
name of the
yeah.
club. I just stuck out. That was probably like
Yeah.
2001. That was like 21 years ago or
Oh,
something.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Amazing venue. I definitely miss it. Question number 3 with Pete Yorn on the local bus. So the band Wheatus, are you familiar with the song Teenage Dirtbag?
Yeah, I think they were on Columbia when I got signed. And so I would see like their name, and I remember the song from the time period, but that's the only song that I know. And I know it's had a little bit of a resurgence from like
Yeah.
people posting their teenage dirtbag pictures or something like that. I think it's a reference to that song. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually my question I was going to get to, is the fact that it had like a resurgence recently, so much so they're out touring again. And it seems like things are going better than they've probably been for those guys in like 21 years. I wanted to ask you if you could pick any song that you love that could have a resurgence like that. What song comes to mind? Like kind of how like Kate Bush had that comeback from Stranger Things. Is there a song from the past that you love, you'd love to see the kids just grab a hold of these days?
By any artist?
Yeah, any artist.
By any artist. Hmm. There's this song called For Nancy by Pete Yorn. It would be great if that one like just kicked up and the kids went crazy for it.
I love it. I'm here for
Gosh, I have no
it.
idea. I mean, there's so many. I'd have to. I'm gonna stick with that answer. It's not a bad answer.
Yeah. I say all you girls named Nancy on TikTok start posting videos. Boom. Question number 4, Pete Yorn on the local buzz. Who do you think is an underrated drummer? A drummer who doesn't really get the credit he deserves?
That's a good question. All the ones I'm thinking of, I get credit in their way, but some people might like be like, like not like might bag on them.
Yeah.
Ringo comes to mind. Ringo's an amazing drummer. It just had the feel, and he could drive that band. But you're in the Beatles, so you got credit. Phil Collins comes to mind, but I think people understand Phil's a great drummer, but he had a good feel.
Oh, dude.
The drummer in Ride, I don't know the cat's name, but that guy's sick. He he was very influential on me. There's a drummer who was in a band called Beechwood Sparks named
nice.
Aaron Spursky. When I first moved to Los Angeles in the mid 90s, they were playing around at this venue called Spaceland a lot out in Silver Lake. And he was a drummer at the time. And I remember just being like very influenced by his playing when I got around to making my first record, Aaron Spursky. I think his daughter he was married for a minute to a photographer named Autumn DeWild. And she took a lot of great rock photos, a lot of stuff, maybe of Elliott Smith and a lot of artists. And then they have a daughter who's all grown up now, who is in a band called like Star something. She's really tall, and she's like the front person of the band. And I'm spacing on the name of the band, but I went as far as I could. But Aaron Spursky, sick drummer.
Spursky. Yeah. Right on. Underrated. I love it. Question number 5 of Pete Yorn, the final question. So it seems to be a trend that whenever a lot of artists, I'm sure you've noticed this, that some artists do Christmas. Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
One more. Rick Meg.
I love it. Rick Meg. I'll take it.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a trend with like artists where a lot of artists will do Christmas records like reluctantly. Like you'll notice sometimes it's like, things aren't going well. He's now doing a Christmas record. So I wanted to ask you the final question. Let's say your management comes to you and he's just like, Pete, it's just not happening anymore, man. You've got to do a full-blown Christmas record. We're talking Pete Yorn is Mr. Christmas and get things going again, or you have to just get out of the industry and die with dignity. Do you do the Christmas record or do you die with dignity?
Oh, I could probably wrap my head around a Christmas record. I just got to catch me on the right mood. I feel like there's enough songs that I could find some joy in reinterpreting. So I don't see it as a bad thing at all. So I'm sure I could have fun with that, so it's all good.
Well, I think you'd make a cool Christmas record. It'd probably be my favorite. I bet I would dig that Christmas record if Pete Yorn ever had to do one. I'd be down.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure when the time is right, there might be some sort of Christmas antics to be had. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Well, that's awesome. I would love to hear it. So you passed the 5 random questions. You won the prize, which the prize is just winning. So there you go. What's 2023 looking like for you, man? You got anything planned for like show wise, maybe a tour?
I have not wrapped my head around it quite yet. I'm just trying to get through the rest of this year, the holiday season, and see what the winter brings, and at that point we'll see what we want to do. Right, everyone's getting their tours on sale for the summer already. You got to be quick out there,
dude. I've seen that.
Everyone's like, it was tour, and you're looking at the dates, and it's all like July. I'm like, whoa, everyone's they're jumping on it,
Yeah. I've seen tours.
Like mad rush, like after the quarantine times and everything, when we could get back out to shows, it was like so I feel like I've been just kind of like cool, like just kind of like watching on the sidelines, because I don't feel that I don't feel that energy yet personally. Not even because of COVID or anything like that. Just in general, I feel like I know it'll come to me when I want to like tour again, but like I just can't, not really wrapping my head around it right now. So. Yeah,
no, absolutely, man. And I do recall, I loved seeing you posted about whenever you got a big haircut, which it was the first time I ever saw you with short hair, and you put I cut the quarantine hair off, and I was like, Pete Yorn's had quarantine hair for like 25 years. What is he talking about? But it was great. It was very dapper, but I'm glad to see you growing it back out. That's the rock and roll look. I like that. As
Is
someone
that.
here, I support it.
Yeah, that was for a job. I have to be honest. That was for a job. So we'll see. We'll see. Might see more about hear more about that in the new year.
Right
Uh,
on, man.
so yeah.
Well, I'm stoked. Well, Pete, it's an honor to have you on the show, man. Go check out the live stream coming up this Friday, December 16th, 5 p.m. Pacific time, peteyorn.veeps.com. And truly, man, I appreciate you sitting down with me, man. I have an open door policy for bands I like. Anytime you want to come on the show, just knock up my Zoom camera and I'll magically appear and we'll do this, man. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Great to talk to you.